We are on Lamed Amud Beis. Lamed Amud Beis. Hopefully I won't fall asleep tonight. This is interesting. So prelude. All of this is pure Yerushalmi, of course, but by that I mean Yerushalmi holds Maimers D'Oraisa, and tonight we'll see that a get by Yevamos D'Oraisa. That if you give your Yevama a get, which should not be relevant at all, so it has a D'Oraisa impact upon her. Okay? The question is, what kind of D'Oraisa impact does it have upon her? Now, the Bavli disagrees with all of it. The Bavli holds there's no such thing as Maimer D'Oraisa. It's all the Rabbanan. There's no such thing as get on a Yevama D'Oraisa, for sure. In fact, the Yerushalmi says that it's quite possible to learn the Bavli that there's no such thing as Zika D'Oraisa. You know, it's all these things are the Rabbanan, right? Not the I don't know if all the opinions in the Bavli, but some of the opinions at least are Bavli. But the Yerushalmi holds all these things that D'Oraisa, Zika's D'Oraisa, Chalitza, Maimer's D'Oraisa, and get now we shall see is D'Oraisa as well.
How could get be D'Oraisa if get shouldn't even exist?
That's a very good point. That would be what you would think and what I would think, but that's not what the Yerushalmi thinks. So we shall see. Okay. But as I said, we'll see that. Yevama, command the third line down. Command Yerushalmi Maimer Koine O Kumlo Kone. Legislative Yerushalmi says Maimer either works or doesn't work, right? Kain hu Aimer ha get o poter or lo poter. Does it say it's a question? Does it say anything by get that get either potters or doesn't potter? Now, if you say get is like Maimer, then what it means is that get is just like Chalitza, if it works, and if it doesn't work, it's nothing. Right, but it's not in between. We'll have that opinion momentarily. It's certain here. Rabbi Shimon says, if you do be on your Yevama before you do anything else to her, that's it. She's the Yevama. Everything else doesn't work. Chalitza, Maimer, nothing works afterwards. However, the diak of that is that he said is bila b'zman b'tchila. What happens if it comes at the end? So that means it's a messed up bia. So what? At the end of what? Very good question. So be'ila shilachar a get. This must be after a get. Why? Because avabila she by process of elimination. Avabila shilachar maimer. Because if it's be after maimer, obviously manavshach. No matter what, the bia has finality. In that case, manavshach kora maimer ain't a klum. If the maimer works, then the bia is unnecessary. Lo kora maimer tikna bia. Right? If the maimer doesn't work, then the bia works. Well, klum. Then obviously there should be nothing after the bia. In that case, elokenu kem. So therefore, by process of elimination, it's got to be bia after again. It can't be bia after chalitza either. Because bia after chalitza is just stam and isser, right? Prohibited that be after chalitza, but there must be after get. Hodamra, this teaches us by virtue of the fact that he said that when the bia comes after something else, meaning after a get, that the bia is not complete. So this teaches us get poiter mishayir, that even Rabbi Shimon holds that maimer is either koine or not koine, but it's not a quasi kinyan. Holds by get that get is a quasi ptur. So Maimer is either works or doesn't work, but get is a quasi ptur even according to Rabbi Shimon. So as a quasi ptur, if you do bia after that, so it's a messed up bia, right? Because you're doing bia after you quasi pottered your Yevama, so that bia can't work, or at least can't work completely. So what is that? At that point, we're going to see what you have to do.
Is it a quasi isser?
We're going to see. Right? Yeah. Well, it's a full isser. Don't worry. No, I don't know. It's quasi isser. No, you're right. It's quasi isser. I don't know what you get. I don't know what the penalty is. So Ram Gamliel. First, the Gemara wants to say Gamliel. It says bar, but it should be ke Rabbi Shimon. Ram Gamliel is like Rabbi Shimon. Oimer hamaymer koine makne. Koine olo koine. He says by maimer either works or doesn't work. And the next word should be instead of hacha verubam Rabbi Shimon. It says more than Rabbi Shimon. It says a get poter or low poter. A get either works or doesn't work, meaning that he doesn't learn that get is a quasi, but when it either get works or doesn't work. Now, this is the Gemara's premise. The Gemara's going to have great difficulty with this. Let's see if that's true about Ram Gamliel. We see Ram Gamliel the following quote from a Brisa, I guess. Ram Gamliel concedes Chachamim sheyesh get achar maimer or maimer achar get. There's a get after maimer, maimer after get. Okay, we're going to discuss in a moment how that works, but potentially is get after maimer, is maimer after get. There's also get achar bias maimer. Now it's a new concept. The Gemara is going to explain that in a minute. There's a get after the bia of a maimer, and there's a maimer achar bias get, and there's maimer after the bia of a get. Okay, fascinating concept. So what do they mean? Get achar bias maimer. Let's start with this one. Get achar bias maimer hechavida. What is the get after bias maimer? Hoyu sholosh Yevamos. There are 3 Yevamos, right, from 3 different brothers. All the brothers died, right? Reuven, Shimon, Levi. They had wives, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, right? So Hoyu sholosh Yevamos. Also maimer bezu. So the first one he did maimer. Ubar lazu. The second one he did bia. Okay. And he gave a get to the third one. All right, a raving lunatic doesn't even begin to describe the person, but he did all 3, right? So he did maimer, bia, and get. So that then in that case, that's called bias maimer, and after that bias maimer, so he needs to have a get. So let's see what happened here. What happened here is that he did maimer to one, then bia to the next one, then a get to the third one, right? So he's got to give a get to all of them, meaning not just one he gave a get to, but the other 2 as well. So this going on teaches us that maimer is not like we said before, that it's either works or doesn't work, but it's a quasi-kinyan. Why does it have to be a quasi-kinyan? Because if you're going to say that Rabban Gamliel holds to Rabbi Shimon, that maimer is a quasi-kinyan, manavshoch. So no matter what, kana maimer and achar zaluk klum. If the maimer works, then there's nothing after the maimer, right? Lo kana maimer. If the maimer does work, tikna bia v'lo yachre klum. Let the bia work, and there shouldn't be any requirement after that, right? So again, the first one he did maimer, right? The second one he did bia. The third one he gave a get, right? So the get to the third one should be meaningless, null and void. The bia works and the maimer works. So if that's not true, if the get to the third one is meaningful and requires him retroactively to give a get to the first 2, right? So it must be maimer didn't work. Maimer is only a quasi-kinyan. And if maimer doesn't work, that's why the bia doesn't work. The bia is only a quasi-kinyan or a quasi, who knows? And therefore the get works. And that means that he's messed up on all 3, right? You can't keep the one he gave a get to. That's obvious. But he can't even keep the bia or the maimer ones, right? Because the maimer is only a quasi-kinyan. It didn't work enough to make the following 2 acts of bia and get meaningless. So therefore, when he did a maimer one, it left room for the bia to work, it left room for the get to work, and after he gives the get retroactively, he ruined the first 2.
Why is the bia dependent upon the maimer?
What?
It seems that the only reason, by all rights, the bia should be fully kona.
It's another good woman though.
Doesn't make a difference.
Why should we fully kona?
Let's say maimer's not.
That's only if you like Rabbi Shimon and Mailer is either koina or not koina.
That's what we're saying.
No, but he's saying no, Adarabba. That was our premise, but we just refuted that.
But even it's kind of a shiur.
It's kind of a shiur, right?
Okay, so it hasn't fully done something.
Right.
To the extent it hasn't fully done something.
But it has done something. No. That's the concept. We haven't met it yet fully. Now we are. It's called bia psula. A bia after maimer, not to the same woman, but to another bia vama, is a bia psula. Bia psula does not achieve what a bia should achieve. That's exactly the concept we see here.
It's very strange.
No, it's not very strange if you accept the premise. V'yuksetiv kona mishayir means that it's enough to cause you trouble, but not enough to resolve anything. So then the bia after that mimer is enough to cause is in trouble. It's not going to work. No?
Yeah, all right. I'm more confused about why the get makes the other two acts.
Because they were never completed. It's like putting a monkey wrench into them before they were completed.
Well, then I'd have to say the bia.
They can't, because the bia came after a mimer. Yeah.
So it's like it's a domino.
Right.
Because the bia is not completed because of the mimer, and the get.
It's not only the domino effect; it's a vicious cycle effect. Yeah. The mimer impedes the bia and the get then works backwards and ruins both of them. Yeah. And nobody lives happily ever after.
I wouldn't have thought that the get would ruin the other two.
It has to, because nobody was complete before the get came on the scene, and then the get is a wrecker. The get it's like a wrecking ball. This wrecks all possibilities. Okay, so again, and let's see inside Hadamra, it's teaching us from Maimer according to Mishayr. Because you turn around Maimer according to Lokan, if you're going to say Ran Galil holds to Shir, Maimer either works or doesn't work, Manavshach. No matter what, Kona Maimer and Achar Zoklum. If the Maimer works, there's nothing after the Maimer. Lo Kona Maimer, if the Maimer doesn't work, they cannot Bia, let the Bia work. Lo Yachre Klum, and then nothing should have followed the Bia. Hadamra teaches us that if that's the case, according to Gamliel, Shar Maimer according to Mishayr. Not like we thought before, Gamliel holds to Shir. No, Maimer works, only quasi. Maimer Achabias get Hechavin. What about the other case? Maimer Achabias get. Glad you asked. Yerushalmi Yevamos. Doesn't get Lazu. The first one got to get. Excuse me. Then you need to be a ball Lazu to be in the second one. Vasa Maimer L'Shlishis. The Maimer the third one. So again, they all three need getting, right? They all three need get and Chalitza. Actually, I didn't make that clear before, but they all need get and Chalitza. Okay. Why they only get in Chalitza? Because Hadam Baras teaches us get pointer Mishayr. The get, even though potters, it only potters part way. And that's why the next two activities that you had, Bia and Maimer, are only quasi. And therefore, nothing works here. You need to Chalitza and get to the other two as well.
Now, the get were first.
Oh, wait. The get is first. But you timer, just a second. You timer, get pointer Lotza. But there, if you want to say the get, it's like Maimer Rabbi Shimon, either it works or it doesn't work. Manav Shach, so no matter what, Potter again, if the get exempt in a Chov Klum, then there's no need for anything else, right? The get worked, you don't have to do anything to the other two women, right? Not even to her. Low Potter again, if the get does not work, Tifta or Abiyah, then the Biyah should work, right? Meaning number two, for Lo Yachre Klum, there shouldn't be any requirement after that. Adamra Tisha shall get pointer Mishayr, get Gittin, go only do quasi ptur, not full ptur.
Okay, so even if it's first,
You're right.
I would have thought that. All right, so you get rid of the first woman with the get, but you still you could do Yibum on the second one.
You can't.
Here you can't.
Right, because it's a monkey wrench. All these quasi things are just monkey wrenches, big monkey wrenches. Now it says, well, wait a minute. So that's going to Rabbi Shimon. There's not only Rabbi Shimon at all, right? Rabbi Shimon holds Maimer is either koina and lo koina. He holds that Maimer is quasi koina, right? And where does he hold like Rabbi Shimon? So where does he hold like Rabbi Shimon? So it says, I'll tell you what. Ein Maimer achar Maimer be a b'amak Rabbi Shimon. He holds like Rabbi Shimon that once you do one Maimer, you don't do another Maimer. Ella, however, Tapulam Rav, the last time of the hain to time of the hain, the reasonings are not the same. Time of the hain during Gamliel, there's no Maimer after Maimer. Meaning, once you mimer to one Yevama, you can't do your mimer to the other Yevama, because whatever your mimer could do, the mimer already did, right? So the second mimer is redundant and it doesn't work. So too, right? Everything in the second gift, there's a get which you give to the second Yevama. After you give a get to one Yevama, it's meaningless, because whatever the first get did, whatever was supposed to be done by get, the first get did, the second get is meaningless, right? How?
Is the Yerushalmi looking at the effect of a get similar to its effect of a chalitza of being like a retroactive kinyan, but then a severance of it?
Yes.
That's the only way this makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So like get Kinyanu, something like that. Yeah. So time Rabbi Shimon, the reason Rabbi Shimon of a Maimer Achamim, a Maimer, is Kana Rishon, if the first one acquires, right, then obviously Kana Sheni, it's Bitmiya. Is the second one going to work? And Rabbi Shimon holds, Rabbi Gamliel holds, there's no Maimer after Maimer because whatever Maimer is going to do, whatever quasi-Kinyan effects already affected in the first one. So there's no get after get. Whatever quasi-Ptur the get affected already affected. However, Shimon holds the reason there's no Maimer after Maimer is because if the first Maimer worked, so then the second Maimer does nothing. If the first Maimer didn't work, then neither does the second Maimer, right? Because either the Maimer is affected, in which case the first one's affected. There's one Maimer is not affected, so nobody's affected, right? So that's what it says here. Konar Rishon, Konar Sheni, Lo Konar Rishon, and if the first one doesn't work, Afa Sheni Lo Konar, the second one doesn't work as well. Similarly, Baget, Potar Rishon, Potar Sheni, right? If the first one works, then Potar Rishon, Potar Sheni. If the first get exempts, then what is their exemplary by the time you give the second get to the second Yevama? Lo Potar Rishon. If the first get doesn't work, Abashain Lo Potar, and the second one doesn't work as well. Now, the Ridbaz points out that this is not true, meaning that more is assuming that according to Rabbi Shia, according to Rabbi Shimon, the get is like Maimer, that it's O Kone or Lo Kone, right? Or O Poter or Lo Poter. But that's not the case. The Gemara I proved back on Laman base, without boring you now, that Rabbi Shimon holds that get is Poter or Mashayir. It's a quasi-Ptur. So that when the Gemara tries here to throw in a get in parallel to Maimer, according to Rabbi Shimon, that's not accurate. Okay, getting back to Rangamliel. Daiter Rangamliel, Rangamliel, Maushia get, Lachagito Shemaimer. What's the status? The Gemara is going to explain. What's the status of get after the get of a Maimer? Maimer Achagito Shemaimer, and Maimer after the get of a Maimer. What's the case? Get Lachagito Shemaimer, get after a get, the Maimer Hechabito. What's the case? So Yerushalmi Yevamos. The two Yevamos. Also, Maimer, so you did a Maimer to one. V'nosla get, and then you gave her a get. V'nosla get Lushia, and then you gave the second one a get. In Tomar, now here the Karmeida and the Ridbaz change around some gearsos. They switch some gearsos. In Tomar had get Poter. Now it should be Yoser Mimasha Kona Maimer. You're going to say get exempt. This is tremendous. Lum the Gemara. If you're going to say the get exempts more than what the Maimer exempts, Kamishiesh can get, it's as if there's a get. Vain get Lachar Gito Shemaimer, there's no get after the get on the Maimer. Now this is an amazing concept. You made a Maimer to one. Now you gave this one a get. And then you gave a get to the other Yevama. So two ways of looking at this. One way of looking at that is that when you gave a get to the Yevama to which you did Maimer, the get and Maimer cancel each other out. And now you go back to Zika. This is a very good point. The Yerushalmi works. That even the Yerushalmi holds Maimer works. It's not that the Maimer is a how should I put it? The Maimer is a I want to use fruition, but that's not the best word. There's something of a zika, not a confirmation. Strengthening, but a fancier word. Thinking of execution, but that's not the best word either. Culmination is better. We're getting there, isn't it? Some word which I'm thinking of, but I can't produce it. So it's not that the Maimer, however, let's say use combination. It's not that Maimer is a combination of the Zika or crystallization. It's not the word I was looking for, crystallization of the Zika, but rather the mimer is like rides on top of the zika. And maybe when you give the get, all the get does is takes off that rider, that mimer, right? And then you go back to the original zika. In which case the second get, which was given, is really the problematic get, because that's the one which is poiter mishayir, right? The get which you gave to the other Yevama. But if you hold that the first get, which you gave, actually accomplishes more than removing the mimer, and in fact damages the zika itself, so then it's the first get which caused the problem to the zika, not the second get. You see the chakira? Is the mimer and get cancel out, or does the get go back and damage the zika directly? Okay? Were there no mimer, then the get would damage the zika. It's not a question. But now there's a mimer, I might say the get and mimer cancel. Okay? Wild and woolly, isn't it? Okay, says one, isn't Yerushalmi living dangerously? Says one, in time I get poiter, again, yoiser mimashukana mimer, because the get does more than mimer does, kimishi can get, then that's a get. Van kan giving get achar gito shemimer, and there's no second get after that, it's only this get, right? In time I get poiter, however, yoiser, again, yoiser mashukana mimer, in other words, the get only works on the mimer, so kimish and can get. So you take off this get, the yesh get, and the second get is what causes you the problems, not the first get. Okay? Now, the other way around. Mimer after the get of mimer hechavita. What's this case? Also mimer zui did mimer to one of them. But not get, and they gave her get. Also mimer l'shniya did a mimer then to the second one, supposed to get to the second one, right? Anytime I get poiter, now here again, switch around. Poiter kol mashukona mimer. You're gonna say the get cancels out the mimer. So kamisha anka mimer. It's as if the first mimer is gone, right? Because the first mimer is taken away by its get. V'yesh mimer achagito shel mimer, and therefore that mimer get canceled out each other out. Now you can have another mimer to another brother, right? V'yitarmer ain't a good place there. Kol mashukona mimer. Now, if you're going to say there's yet another possibility, that a get does not pater all that a mimer does. Okay? In other words, the mimer is greater than the get. Meaning that the mimer actually tapped in, which would mean to us that the mimer tapped into the zika. Right? So you say that in terms of ena get poiter, kol mashukona mimer, can be sheshka mimer, then the first mimer remains, right? And therefore, if a mimer lacher gito shel mimer, therefore the second mimer cannot work. Even though the first mimer has been technically obliterated, now the second mimer cannot work. Of course, this is the type of question which Yerushalmi would never, ever, ever answer. And the one Yerushalmi therefore goes on. Gamliel, who holds before that a bia after a get is a bia psula. Right? I told you that. We introduced this concept before. Ma'oshete bia psula achar bia psula. What if you have one bia psula and then you have another bia psula afterwards, right? So do I say that there's a bia psula after the bia psula?
Wait, this is all one woman or two?
Two women. You did a bia psula on one, or even three women. Gave one again, then you did a bia psula, then this next bia also bia psula. Ma'oshete bia psula achar bia psula. Or similarly, bias bentesha achar bentesha bias bentesha. One 9-year-old Yovam has relations. What about a second one afterwards, which is also similar to bias psula? Bias psula achar bias bentesha, or bias bentesha after bias psula, or bias bentesha bias psula achar bias bentesha, or bias bentesha achar bias psula. All right, the one doesn't answer that either. Ma'oshil l'chalchon l'gamliel. Now, what do Chachamim say to Ram Gamliel about one woman? Okay, what do I mean by one woman? I'm sorry, I introduced the concept which more than introduced it. In the following case, that there should be no mimer after mimer and one yavama. Hey Chavita, what's the case? Also, you gave it in mimer and yavama. But also, then he gave her again. Vasa mimer and a mimer in her, same woman again. You can't make up your mind about her. You're going to say it's mimer after mimer, lo niftar also get, so then that get does no good, right? Because there's mimer after mimer, right? So the second mimer takes effect. If you're going to say there's no mimer after mimer, niftar also get, so that get lets her off the hook, okay? Because that get took care of the mimer, and there's no mimer afterwards. Rabbi Yehuda boy. We didn't ask. Kidesh isha me'achshav. You marry a woman from now, from now until after 30 days. And within those 30 days, her sister fell to use Yevama. Afilu kain ein maimer chamaymer. Do I say here to ein maimer chamaymer, and that the fact that you began a prosecution with the sister, right? The Yevama prevents. With the sister who's not Yevama, prevents you from making maimer with the sister now becomes a Yevama, right? Do you see the question? Am I making it clear? I'm not making it clear, right? Reuven was Zaku to Amana Leah, right? Then, no, it's the other way around. Reuven married a woman, Leah, and said, yeah, I want you married to me from here until after 30 days. Yerushalmi allows room for other marriages to take place during those 30 days, and it's going to make him married to multiple people, right? What about if within those 30 days, a Yevama falls to him, and he does mimer on her? Does that also displace or concurrently take place on this woman for this man? Am I making myself clear?
Are the two women related?
Yeah, they're sisters. Yeah, that's important. Sorry. It says nafla achoisa. Otherwise, you're right. Why shouldn't it take effect? So nafla achoisa tel shloshim. Afilu can't a maimer chamaymer. Do we say also in this case a maimer chamaymer? Lo amra will elai they get. Perhaps Gamliel did not make a statement. Only no, it's a statement. It's not a question. Lo amra Gamliel they get. Obviously, it should not say below here, but it could say I de mimer. Meaning when Gamliel say that there's no mimer after mimer, when it's a mimer after mimer, but here it's a mimer after kiddushin. Because to the woman the first sister you made kiddushin, the second woman who fell to you in the interim that you made mimer to, that might well take effect. But you don't have mimer after mimer, perhaps, as we said on Ralph's possibility. Once you make one mimer, you can't make another mimer later on. But perhaps you can make a mimer after kiddushin, since they're dissimilar, right? But you can't do something the same, but something dissimilar. Because otherwise, what are you going to say? It's not just something dissimilar; it's more than that. Because what are you going to say otherwise about the case where it said the Rabbi Yevamos said named Rabbi Yochanan that even if you mekadosh from now until after 30 days, even 100 people could take hold of her during those 30 days, right? You're going to say lo karan Gamliel. You're going to say it's not going like Gamliel. The Pasha says that's going like Rabbi Gamliel as well. So therefore, how can Rabbi Gamliel say that in that case of kiddushin, that if I'm mekadosh from now until after 30 days, another guy is mekadosh from now until after 29 days, another guy is mekadosh from now until 28 days, so that they all work. If a maimer acha maimer, how can that work? So it must be that Gamliel holds a maimer acha maimer only in the case of yibum. But in a case where it's maimer acha kiddushin or kiddushin acha kiddushin, in that case, he might well hold that you have such a concept of kiddushin after kiddushin or kiddushin after maimer, or maimer after kiddushin. It's just maimer after maimer that you can't have. Why would it be that you can't have mimer after mimer? Again, because whatever the first mimer did to the Zika, it renders you incapable of doing another mimer afterwards, right? But by a case of there's no Zika, right? Or either because we're dealing with multiple kiddushins, there's no Zika issue, or we're doing the kiddushin vis-a-vis Yibum, where there's only one Zika, not two, so there we might say that yesh kiddushin achar mimer, there's yesh mimer achar kiddushin, or yesh kiddushin achar kiddushin. Okay? Is that relatively clear? You don't like it at all?
No.
You look like you're in pain.
I'm just reading. I always look like I'm in pain. I'm reading the Korban Native, so I just want to...
Okay. So this is really based on the Ridbaz at the bottom. Okay. Says Mr. Further. Ketzad, how does this work? Also, Maimer Bivim, so you did Maimer Yevamos, but also again, you gave her get, so you Chamena Chalitza. She still needs Chalitza. Even though you did Maimer and then you gave a get, you still needs Chalitza, because we don't know what Maimer does, right? So maybe still in Chalitza. Also, Maimer B'cholatz, and if you did Maimer, you did Chalitza, so you Chamena get. You need a get, right? You have, no matter what, you have to cover all bases. Also, by Maimer Ubal, but if you did Maimer, then it'd be Taka Rezel Mitzvah, so that's fine. That's valid. Okay? Says the Gemara, Adar Melas Tisha shall get Poiser Yetzim Imasha Kona Maimer. This teaches us that get does more than Pata what the Maimer requires. Because he term Eina get Poiter Yetzim Imasha Kona Maimer. You're going to say that the get does not do more than take off what the Maimer did. Yabim! You should do Yibum! Meaning if you hold like we proposed in the previous segment, which we never resolved over there, that if you did Maimer and then get, so all the get does is take off the Maimer, but the underlying Zika still exists. So then after you did Maimer and then get, you should be able to go and do Yibum. But it says you have to do Chalitza, right? Why would you have to do Chalitza? So it must be that the get does more than just take off the Maimer. It actually damages the underlying Zika, and that's why afterwards you have to do Chalitza, not Yibum. Okay? So it says, Amar, what about if he said, though? What if he made it tonight? Said, I only want to get to take off what the Maimer did. I don't want to get Chas v'Sholem to be Pogea in the actual Zika. You still look like you're in intense pain.
I guess the underlying premise of this Gemara, I really don't understand it, is that Maimer seems to have no effect on the Zika itself. And therefore, the get, when it corresponds to the Maimer, doesn't correspond to the Maimer. Why would Maimer affect the Zika? It's a Kakaloli Isha, according to the Yerushalmi. And that's Maimer. That's not the Zika.
Well, I could give you the easy way out. The easy way out would say I'm Mishnah like Rebbe Shimon.
That Maimer is...
O Kona, O Lo Kona.
So it could be Kona, though.
But if it's not Kona, then the get might not do anything to damage the underlying Zika. Excuse me. The get will do something to damage the underlying Zika. He holds get as a miktas poter. That's true. Question whether I can devise a get which won't damage the underlying Zika. And this is the easy way out, and it's probably wrong. But according to Shimon, I could say, listen, I don't know if Maimer works or not, but if Maimer works, let my get take off the Maimer, okay? But let's not deal with the underlying Zika. But the truth is, now that I'm speaking out, it doesn't work. It won't work. Because according to Shimon, outside the Maimer works, it's like Ibum Mamish. So of course the Zika is affected by that. It's partial the Zika is affected and taken off by that. So there's no more Zika after that. So we have to be going in this Mishnah according to Rabbanan, who hold that Maimer is a Miktas Kinyan, right? Miktas Kinyan. So it's Miktas Kinyan, so therefore the question which you're asking is a valid one. That once you say Maimer is a Miktas Kinyan, should that not damage the underlying Zika, right?
I mean, it goes to the Zika.
Yeah, but I don't know if then. So now let's reflect on that a moment. It could be that when Rabbanan hold Maimer is a Miktas Kinyan, what they hold is that it's like a regular Kedushin. In other words, you could be Mekadesh, your Yevamos. But when you take off the gate, you took off the Kedusha Yevamos. What's left afterwards? Zika.
Except, must be that that's the underlying logic. It's just that one would think that anything that you do in terms of making a marriage or causing disintegration of this marriage somehow has to, you would think, it would affect the Zika.
Right, but obviously the Gemara does not recognize that. Not. Right, and I guess that's we'll have to say that's the definition. Again, you can have the Zika is an undercurrent here, and then you have a Maimer, which is like the Gemara holds. It's like we have the saying in Hebrew, Maimer Amuzgar. Maimer Amuzgar means a parenthetical remark. So what?
I never heard that.
Maimer Amuzgar means it's like a parenthetical remark. So that's, I don't know if that might be, it's modern Hebrew. But really, no, it's apropos. Yeah, this mimer is Musgar. It's a parenthetical marriage, right? It's a blip on the face of Zika, according to this Gemara, right? So the Shai, if anything, it's the get which causes the problem, which the Gemara is saying here, not the mimer, right? Because the get is a miktsas poiter. That's the problem. The miktsas kinyan of mimer, according to this Gemara, it doesn't bother us. You can still have an underlying Zika continue past that. But the question is whether the get undermines. The Gemara said yes. So now the Gemara asks the question: Amar lo yiftar giti l'mash kodem ma'amari. If the other one says all the get should do is take off what my mimer acquired. Va'afilu mash kodem ma'amari lo potter. No. So this is actually the answer. Says Gemara, no, you can't say it. Va'afilu mash kodem. If you said that, it's a little bit Gemara is a little bit choppy. But what it means is va'afilu mash kodem ma'amari lo potter giti. Says, no, if you say let the get only take off what my mimer accomplished, then that's a get. That get doesn't work at all. Why? Because krisus ain't a krisus. You know, a get must be kores. For example, if you make a condition with your wife, I'm giving you a get, I'm not saying you should never drink wine again in the course of your lifetime. So that's not a valid get. Because get must break bonds. And if you maintain a bond beyond the get, so then it's not a get, right? So you could say I'm not shelo tishli yain shloshim yom or something like that, but not for the rest of your life. That's for then the get is undermined. That's our loch and bavli Yerushalmi. Sure, we haven't done Yerushalmi yet, but I'm sure Yerushalmi is the same thing. I think it's a Mishnah. But here too the same thing. If you say that I want the get to work only for what the mimer accomplished and not to be a total get as a get would work otherwise, so then the get doesn't work at all. Because it's a miktsas get, it's not krisus. It doesn't sever the connection between him and her. So you can't make that kind of condition in the get. So therefore, again, once you give the get, you can't do yibum anymore because the get is a miktsas poiter, right? That's what we see from our Mishnah. Okay? Chalitza psula. Now, let's say turn around to go to a different topic. Why did a chalitza psula? He did a bad chalitza. Poitra. It patters her up. Uleheda mila. For what purpose? Shim yava acher v'kidesh tesatzara tavsel kiddushin. Only the chumrah. If you give your wife your vama bad chalitza, right? It's chalitza, let's say after a get, right? So it patters her. But only it patters her to the extent that if somebody married then her co-wife, then that's valid kiddushin. But she still has to get both procedures. She has to get a get done to her as well. In other words, again, if you did a chalitza psuli, it still requires a get. So the only extent to what that the chalitza works is to pater, to allow the co-wife to marry herself off, l'chumra, that she would need a get if she didn't marry herself off. Okay, but and that's what it says here. But on top of non-based on but the kid somebody else comes and marries his co-wife. Since the zika of that person is least partially removed from her, tafsaba kiddushin. The get the kiddushin works. Or it says the Gemara, perhaps not. Perhaps since you did a chalitza psula, and you still require a get after chalitza psula, so then perhaps kiddushin doesn't work even in the Torah, right? So it's a good question, right? So it says the Gemara, nothing. Gemara doesn't answer. So we don't know. So again, well, you did mimer in a woman. Then you did chalitza to her. You still have to give her a get. During that limbo period between the chalitza you did to her and the get you gave to her, can her co-wife go and do kiddushin l'chumra l'ashuk, right? Because obviously the kula she can't, because the process of yibum / chalitza has not yet been completed on her co-wife. But as the chumra, do I say she can go and get married l'ashuk? Because there was a chalitza, even though it's a chalitza which is not complete until the get is given, we don't know the answer. We go on. Says the Gemara, going on the Sefer, which says that also by Maimer Abala raise the mitzvah. So here we see a takuna de Rabbanon. Oh, might be the Rav. Sorry. Okay, say it. According to Yerushalmi, it's the Raisa. Here we see that the Raisa The proper procedure is to Maimer and then Yibum. That's the proper procedure. SOP, standard operating procedure, right? Our Mishnah says mitzvah do kedushin, then be even by Yevama. Now it's a kav chomer. Ma'im is a word missing here according to the Korban. Ma'im Yevama. Shein kosev kedushin even though by Yevama doesn't say kedushin. Atoim ha'rezu k'mitzvah. He said the mitzvah is to do kedushin for Yibum. Ha'isha, a regular woman, shekosev b'kedushin, where it says kedushin lo koshke is not kav chomer that before you have bia with her you should be kaddish her. Which is, I guess, a plug against premarital sexual relations. I don't know exactly how else to look at it, but that's what it seems to say. Okay? Nasan get. On we go. You gave her a get, and then also mimer. Give mimer to the second one, I think. Not the same one. Yeah. Nasan get also mimer, tzich a get, so the second one also needs a get. Right? The chalitza, and a chalitza as well. Nasan get. He gave a get, ubal, he did bia to another one. Tzich a get v'chalitza, also needs get to the chalitza. Nasan get v'cholatz, if you did give get in the chalitza though, then ein lach a chalitza klum, that's fine, because after chalitza you no longer have to do anything else. Now, says the Gemara, in the Reisha, where it says, if you gave a get and they did mimer, you get a chalitza, so you need a get l'mamoro, get for the second mimer, and chalitza is because of chalitza from the underlying zika. Now, what about the middle case? The middle case is nasan get ubal tzricha get uchalitza. You gave a get and they did bia the other way. Need get in chalitza. Adama teaches us bia psula ain't a pateris. The bia psula which you did to the second woman, right? You gave a get to the first woman, then you gave a bia psula to the second woman. Doesn't do you any good, right? You still have to do chalitza and get afterwards, right? Let's come see. Chalitza psula poteres will be a psula and a poteres. You just said in the previous Mishnah that there's a poteres possibility of saying that chalitza psula paters at least to the extent that the co-wife can get married. But you're saying be a psula doesn't pater at all. What's the difference, right? Says no. Chalitza deshi kara psula. Interesting concept. Chalitza, the whole chalitza makes you possible. Poteres bia. Poteres, that's why it paters, and that's why the co-wife might be able to get married. At least the chumrah, if she doesn't have marriage, we have to assume so. Bia idesha any karapsula. Bia, however, since it doesn't come to passel, right, comes to take in, so therefore ain't no poteres. If it's a bia psula, it can't do any good. It can't even do any good with chumrah, right? If you gave get to the first one, then you did bia psula to the second one, right? So that bia psula is so possible, it can't do anything. It can't allow the co-wife to go and get married l'shuk. That's what we're saying. In other words, the chalitza psula can allow the co-wife to get married l'shuk, at least l'chumrah, because chalitza psula poteres, because chalitza paters. Chalitza psula, so it still should pater to some extent. However, bia psula can't do anything, right? Can't take her in and can't let her out, can't let anybody out, so therefore it doesn't do any good. That's basically what we're saying. Okay? So it says lo tiftar balakuv, lo tiftar balachomer. Says wait, why still understand? Why could you be machmir? Not lakula, but lachumra. V'lai the milos for purpose. Shin ba'ach v'kiddush l'tzar tafsa b'kiddushin. Let it be a chumra. What do you care? Be machmir. Does body be machmir? So say your co-wife can say it's a p'tur l'chumra. That's true. After you do get to one, bia to the other, right? That the first one, if she gets married l'shuk, she needs a divorce. It's just a chumrah. You have any problems with the chumrah? Says more Rabbi Yudin said Kiyamti, I explained it. Anybody who can't get out at all, can't get all the way out, she's always considered inside until she gets out. Meaning, until it's over. So therefore, if I did a chalitza psula, so that's an exit strategy. That's an exit strategy, so therefore I have to machmir and assume that perhaps the exit strategy worked, and therefore the co-wife, if she gets married, I have to assume that it might have been a valid marriage. However, bia psula is not an exit strategy, it's an entrance strategy. Yet you want to use it as an exit strategy and say, well, maybe she got out. And since she got out, the co-wife should be allowed to get married, at least the chumrah. No, any exit strategy which doesn't work completely is not considered to be exit strategy, at all, and therefore the co-wife cannot get married even l'chumrah. Now, obviously, the Yerushalmi is the bia psul is the problem d'oraisa, right? If there's not a problem d'oraisa, the whole thing doesn't make sense. Because if it's a d'rabbanan that a bia psula, a bia after a get, doesn't work, so then of course you'd have to be machmir and say the co-wife misafek is married to whoever she marries min shuk, right? If you hold that again, if you hold the rabbanon, the whole problem of bia psul is the rabbanon, or the whole problem of get by Yevamos is the rabbanon, right? So we're playing around with the rabbanons here, right? So therefore, certainly I would say, take away the rabbanons. Midorais only left with is a bia. The bia is a valid yibum. That means the co-wife is free and clear. Of course, the marriage should be a valid marriage, l'chumrah, right? It's only by saying that all these problems are deraisa problems, right? So then a get is really a problem because it's a miktas poiter, and therefore the bia done after the get is really a problem because it's a bia done after a miktas poiter, which doesn't do the good it's supposed to do. Only then can I see that both the kula and the chumrah, if the co-wife gets married lashuk, then that's not a valid marriage. I can't take it into account. So the Yerushalmi is predicated on the assumption that all these things are deraisas. Okay? Says the Mishnah further. It's great to be awake. If you did chalitza and then he did maimer, nasan get ubal. Okay? Now, this again, the idiot factor shines through. He did chalitza, then a maimer, then a get, then bia. Oh, Baal, he did bia, Vasa Maimer, then did Maimer, Nasan get, V'cholatz, and then did Chalitza. Ein achar Chalitza klum. After Chalitza doesn't have to do with anything else. So what is going to explain what that means. Okay? So this is true whether there one woman who to me did all these procedures, or two women to me did these procedures. Now, the Gemara is going to explain. Abi Shomu ein achar Chalitza. Even though they said there's no Chalitza after Chalitza. But if you had bia with your the bia after chalitza passes her from kahuna. So what are you talking about? Excellent question. Anyway, right? It's a very interesting issue. She's talking. We're talking about a born kohenes here. She was born a kohenes. So therefore, if she after a divorce, she'd go back to eating truma on her own right, in her own right,
in her father's house.
In her father's house. But if she becomes psul lakuna because she was mechuleles by bia asura, so then she can't eat truma, right? So if she had chalitza and then had bia with the cholates, so then she can't go back to her father's house. She can't eat truma for the rest of her life. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Says tomorrow, why? Haba chalutzaso psula melechel b'truma. Relation with chalutza, your chalutza is she not allowed to eat truma? Can't be. Now, I want to step back here for a minute. I don't fully understand this word. To be honest with you, I always thought that if you have relations, that it's a lav, at least, to have relations with your brother-in-law after you did chalitza with him, and a bias lav should pass a woman mina kahuna, right? Just like Hamana l'kohen gadol is also to she's psula, she's a chalola, she's not allowed, even if the Hamana was previously a kohenes, she's not allowed to go and eat truma again. So I thought it's any isur lav, but that's obviously not true. It's either a specific isur kahuna or an isur kares, which renders a woman unfit to eat truma any longer. Okay, if she had bia to somebody who is inherently non-kosher for kohanim, such as an amona, even a kohen gadol, but an amona kohen gadol is a specific kahuna isur, or for that matter, somebody who's prohibited to say a mamzer, right, or a goy, right, then she's rendered unfit for kahuna. She can't eat truma anymore, right? But if she had relations with somebody who's situationally forbidden to her, who's a fine, upstanding Jew, but situation forbidden to her, and the level of the prohibition is not kares, so then she can go back to her father's house and eat truma. So the Gemara says if she had relations with chalutza, it's an isur lav. It's not an isur kares. If only isur lav, she can go back and eat truma again, right? So it must be the brothers. Nichol command Amar who ain't no chayv on chalutza. I understand according to the opinion that holds that he's not chayv on the chalutza, but achi on the chalutza, but the brothers are chayv because of chalutza. So then the brothers render unfit. Baram command Amar, but according to the opinion it says bein hu ben achim ain't no chayv on the chalutza. According to the opinion it holds about neither he nor his brothers are chayv on chalutza. So therefore, who's going to render unfit for kuna? Elok shebo ala tzora. It's talking about where the choylitz has relations with the co-wife, who is the kohenes. That's going to put an opinion that everybody agrees that on tzara you're chayev, right? However, Baran Kamandamar who ain't chayev lo chutz of lo tzara. According to people who chose he's not chayev, of course, neither chutz nor the tzara. So how is he render unfit for kuna? Elok shebo achin must be talking about where her brothers had relations. His brothers had relations with the tzara. That's good when, according to people who holds that the brothers are chayiv on the tzara. So how does he possibly render her unfit for kuna? Neither he nor the brothers can. It's going like Rabbi Kiva holds that there's a mamzer by chalutza, meaning that it's just like he holds by any Isser Lav, there's mamzerus. So he holds by any Isser Lav, there also is rendering unfit for kuna. It's a him l'shitasa holds that a lav is just as chomer as a chorus no matter what. Another answer, Ariyasiti Pater Shayoy Yevama Kohen Uval Lev Achilullah. So about a case where the Yevama was making it an Isser Kahuna, right? Just like Amona L'Kohen Gadol makes the Amona Apostle Kahuna. So too, if the Chalutz Cholet is a Kohen, even though then the prohibition is only an Isser Lav, but it's a Lav which pertains to Kahuna, right? And since it's an Isser Lav which pertains to Kahuna, so therefore she loses her status as a Kohen, right? By having had relations with a Kohen. So there's the thing, a woman is a Kohenes, who has relations with a Kohen, who's not allowed to have relations with her, becomes unfit by that, and she can't go back to eating truma in her father's house.
What about him?
No, he goes scot-free. That's the advantage of being a man. Okay, on that happy note, we'll end here for Bein Hasmanim. It's possible that we will learn next Tuesday. Are you going to be in town for the Sukkot?
I'm going to be in West Rivers Park for the first days.
No. I'll tell you about, right. I'm going to be in Detroit for the first days.
Oh, very nice.
The question is whether Tuesday and Wednesday you're going to be in town.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me call, then you're going to be in town? Not going to,
Israel.
For all the money you're paying, you should go. But,
Have to be here to make money so I can
That's
make
right.
money for them.
But, okay, so tentatively, Wednesday for sure we'll learn. Thursday not, because Thursday after we're going to have Bavli at Steve Katz's house. And Tuesday at night we're going to learn instead of Hoshana Rabbah morning. And Tuesday I'll let you know. About Tuesday I'll let you know. So is that clear? Tuesday I'll let you know. Wednesday for sure we're going to learn. Thursday for sure we're not going to learn.
When are you going out of town?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow we're not learning for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.